Hey, what's good everyone? My name's Evan Trevino. First and foremost, thank you for clicking on this video. Welcome to my video, welcome to my channel. This is the first of many to come, and I'm hoping that you'll be around for the whole ride. So, a little background about myself. I'm a US Navy veteran. I got in during the Obama administration, and I ended my service through a medical retirement during the Biden administration. So I got to see a lot of the transgender policy shift from Obama to Trump and Trump to Biden, and now we have the new revelation of Trump's policy and how it differs a little bit from his first time around. So before we get into it, let's go ahead and hear it straight from Pete Hegseth, and once he's done explaining the policy from his perspective or from the administration's perspective, I'll give my input because I feel like I have a very unique take on it, having seen all the policy firsthand.
Here at the Defense Department, we continue to relentlessly pursue the president's agenda, especially on readiness. He put out an executive order a week into his presidency, stating the prioritizing military excellence and readiness, that expressing a false gender identity divergent from an individual's sex cannot satisfy the rigorous standards necessary for military service. We agree, and so we implemented that policy. It was challenged in court, and of course, we appealed. And 2 days ago at the Supreme Court, our policy was upheld. And so we're going to continue to advance that policy here at the Defense Department. So, in accordance with policy now reinstated, service members who have a current diagnosis or history of or exhibit symptoms consistent with gender dysphoria may elect to separate voluntarily. There's a timeline here, and then eventually involuntarily if necessary. This is the president's agenda. This is what the American people voted for, and we're going to continue to relentlessly pursue it.
All right, so you heard the man. So first off, shout out to Pete Hegseth, man. You uploaded that even though you stuttered. I don't know how many times you recorded that, but I appreciate you uploading it with the stutter because it gives people like me hope, because I be misspeaking all the time. I recorded that intro so many times and I kept messing it up because I cannot speak. I went to the military first, not college. So let's talk about what he said. Transgender individuals in the military right now are going to have a hard cutoff, right? They're going to give them a chance to voluntarily separate, and after a certain point, it's going to be an involuntary separation. And as I mentioned, this differs a little bit from Trump's first time around, where the policy was that transgender individuals were not going to be allowed to re-enlist, and they also weren't going to be allowed to enlist. So everyone that was in the military that was transgender was able to finish out their contract. Now, this led to a lot of variation because when you have these transgender individuals that change the livelihood of everyone around them because they all had to conform to this person's identity, and it changes up a lot of things that should be simple. That was varying degrees for every command because some people had just re-enlisted and they were going to be in for another 3 to potentially 6 years. Some people were on their way out. This way, it's more uniform, and there is a solid line to where all transgender individuals are going to be out by this date. They're going to try to weed some out, get them to do it voluntarily on their own terms before Trump and the administration say, nope, this day, no more forward. Now, this brings it back to military competency. It takes it back to mission readiness, which is something the military has kind of strayed away from. It's no secret to people that are in that things have gotten much more relaxed. You used to be separated from not being able to finish your PRT, like your physical readiness test, your physical fitness assessment. If you weren't able to pass 2 times in a row, you were kicked out. After that, they just said you need to pass before you re-enlist, otherwise you can't re-enlist, which is pretty relaxed for people that are supposed to be warfighters, right? So as I mentioned, I came in during the Obama administration, right? Now, when I was coming in, it was towards the end of his term, and the policy was that transgender individuals were going to have a full year of essentially paid leave so they can live their lives in their new gender identity and for them to figure out who they are, which it's like, dog, if you are going to cut off your genitals and have hormone therapy, I would hope that you already know who you are. But on the other hand, you're cutting off your genitals and taking hormones to become something you can't become. You really don't know who you are. So maybe you did need a year outside the military to come to terms with the sex that you were born with and that you will always have. So I have a couple things pulled up for you. So according to NBC, there's about 15,000 transgender service members at the moment. And they say the military has 1.3 million active duty. Now that's true, but this is a little deceptive. And the reason being is because they only include the active duty personnel for the figure. So if you were to divide the number of transgender service members by the total active duty, you're gonna get about 1%. But that's a little deceptive because not all these transgender individuals are active duty. This number covers active duty and reserve transgender service members. So the true number you should be dividing by is a little over 2 million. The exact number, and I have it right here, you can see we have a reserve amount of about 762,000 reservists. So when you add that together, you're going to have 1.31 million plus 762,000 reservists. It's 2,072,000 service members in total. So when we divide 15,000 divided by 2,072,000, what you get is not even 1%. You get 0.724%. Not even 1% of the military is going to be affected by this. This is going to be very inconsequential to the average service member, to 99% of service members. So there's one more thing I actually wanted to show you, right? So according to this trans advocacy group, nearly 1 in 5 transgender people are active duty service members or veterans. This is a little deceptive, and I'm gonna tell you why, right? So this includes veterans. Most of these veterans were not transgender in the military. Most of these transgenders were living life as there's actual sex in the military and only transitioned after the military. And the reason why that's significant is because you're not creating the problems that you would have in the military with transgender people when you're living life as you're meant to, because they're living their life as these transgender individuals and they're living a different lifestyle and they require extra accommodations and extra medical procedures. If all the people in the military that were transgender right now were not presenting as transgender, we're not asking for accommodations because of their gender dysphoria, this would be a non-issue. It would be the same as like don't ask, don't tell. It'd just be you go into work, you serve your country, and you go home. But living as a transgender individual, you're going to ask for all these extra accommodations and medical services, and that's where the mission readiness comes at stake. So this is a very deceptive figure, the 1 in 5 transgender people in active duty military or veterans, because they didn't serve, most of these people did not serve the military in their transgender identity. And let's pretend they did, right? Let's say every single one of these individuals were in the military presenting as a sex that they claim to be, not the one they were born as. That's still a very, very small figure. There is not many transgender people in America like that. Like, it would still be inconsequential to the grand scheme of things in the military. So to wrap things all up, I think this is an improvement from the way Trump initially got transgender individuals out of the military. I believe that the numbers being reported are a little deceptive, but more or less they both reflect that this is 1% or less. In reality, it's less of the military is going to be affected by this. So mission readiness is going to be a-okay without them. And the advocates are presenting this false picture that transgenders are like the backbone of the military. They really aren't. They're not the backbone. They're not the femur. They're not even the pinky toe. Maybe the tonsils. Maybe the tonsils, right? In the sense that all they do is get sick and eventually need to be cut out. Ooh, am I allowed to say that? I don't know. Anywho, thanks for watching the whole video. If you could, please like the video, comment what I did well, comment what I didn't do well so I can improve. What else would you like me to cover? And if you thought this video was good and I'm on the right track, consider subscribing, man. Coming for the journey. Anyways, my name's Evan. Thank you for watching. I'm out.